When you picture a diamond, you probably think of something perfect, right? Flawless, timeless. But the truth is, the global diamond market right now, it's not that at all. In fact, it's got some pretty big cracks showing, and we're going to take a look inside.
All right, so here's what we've got on tap. We're going to start with this idea of a flawed sparkle, what's up with weakening prices. Then we'll get into the numbers and decode the diamond index. From there, we'll see how the market is splitting into two, feel the global squeeze, and talk about some major uncertainty at the top. And we'll wrap it all up with a look at what this means for the holiday season.
All right, first things first, a flawed sparkle. So, the big headline for October, diamond prices continue to drop. But, that's really just scratching the surface. It's not nearly that simple.
And this quote right here, this is our roadmap. It tells us flat out that this isn't just a simple price drop across the board. The market is actually, well, it's fracturing. It's splitting apart based on the type of diamond and even where in the world you are. And honestly, that's what makes this whole situation so interesting.
Okay, so how do we actually see this split happening? Well, that's where the diamond index comes in. Let's dig into that and translate what the industry's vital signs are telling us.
So the big one you gotta know is the RapNet Diamond Index, or RAPI for short. The easiest way to think about it, it's kind of like the S&P 500, but for high-quality diamonds. It specifically tracks the average asking price for the best of the best 1-carat round diamonds. It's basically our main window into the health of the market. And boom, here's where you can really see that split I was talking about. Look at this data. The standard 1-carat diamond index, it fell. But check out the extremes. The smaller stones are getting hammered. Down over 4% for the little guys. But then you look all the way at the other end, the big 3-carat diamonds, their prices actually went up a tiny bit. This tells you it's not one single market. It's a bunch of mini markets all doing their own thing.
Let's just zero in on that number for a second. Minus 4.4% in 1 month. That's a huge drop, and it's all happening in that 0.30 carat category. This is where the market is really hurting, the smaller, more affordable part of it.
And this chart, wow, it just lays it all out, doesn't it? See that blue line way down at the bottom? That's the 0.30 carat index, just falling off a cliff through October. Now, compare that to the yellow line up top. That's the big 3-carat diamonds. It's basically flat, even ticked up a bit. You can literally watch the market pull itself in two different directions on this one chart.
So yeah, the data is pretty clear. There's a major split. Let's get into what that really looks like. We're talking about a market that's truly divided, a real tale of two diamond worlds.
First up, and this is the big one we just saw on the charts, is the split by size. Simple as that. The smaller, more everyday diamonds, that's where all the weakness is. But the huge investment-level stones, they're doing just fine. It's a classic story, right? The very wealthy, luxury buyer, they're often totally shielded from the economic stuff that hits the rest of us.
But it's not just about how big the diamond is, it's also about the shape. And this is where it gets really interesting. The classic round diamond, the one everybody thinks of first, is actually not doing so great. The real action is in what they call fancy shapes. So we're talking about ovals, pears, and especially marquee cuts. Apparently those are super popular right now.
And the last piece of the puzzle is geography. Over in India, which is this massive hub for cutting and polishing diamonds, things are really quiet. But then you look at the United States, the biggest market for buying diamonds, and business is steady. It's like two totally different worlds on opposite sides of the planet.
So that begs the question, right? Why are things so quiet in India? Well, that leads us perfectly into our next topic, the global squeeze. We're going to look at the pressure that's building on the world's diamond factory.
Yeah, India's huge manufacturing sector is just getting squeezed from every direction. For starters, overseas demand, which is their bread and butter, has pretty much dried up. Then they had their normal shutdown for the Diwali festival, but when it was time to start back up, nobody was feeling it. The mood was just blah. And that's led to a ton of hesitation all the way down the line.
And a big reason for that hesitation comes down to trade talks between the US and India. There's this threat of new tariffs like 15 to 16% just hanging over everything. And that creates this huge cloud of uncertainty. How are you supposed to plan your business when your costs could jump that much overnight? You can't.
But this uncertainty, it's not just happening in the factories. Let's pull back and look at the big picture, at the corporate level. Because there are some massive shifts happening at the very top of the luxury world.
And here's another one of those weird contradictions. The broader market is struggling, right?
But the super high end? It's doing great. The luxury powerhouse LVMH said sales at Tiffany & Co. are strong. And that totally backs up what we saw with the bigger diamonds. People are still definitely buying premium, big-name luxury.
But while one giant is doing well, another one is causing like an earthquake in the industry. Why? Because an absolute icon, the company that basically created the modern diamond business as we know it, is up for sale. Yep, we're talking about De Beers.
And get this, look who's in the running to buy it. We're not just talking about companies, we're talking about countries. Angola, Botswana, both of them major partners. And then you've got industry insiders in the mix, like the old CEO. Whoever wins this isn't just buying a company, they could literally change how the entire diamond industry works for years to come. I mean, talk about high stakes.
Okay, so we've got all these different pieces. A divided market, a global squeeze, a giant for sale. What does it all mean? Let's tie it all together and look at the holiday outlook. What on earth is going to happen as we head into the biggest shopping season of the year?
You know, this quote really says it all, a mixed outlook. That's the perfect way to put it. On one side, you've got the smaller diamonds tanking and all this uncertainty in manufacturing, but on the other side, big diamonds are strong, fancy shapes are in demand, luxury sales are good, and oh yeah, one of the biggest companies ever is about to be sold. It's just a massive bundle of contradictions.
And so that leaves us with this one giant question. In a market that's so split, with small stones in trouble and a titan of the industry on the auction block, who's actually going to come out on top this holiday season? Is it going to be the regular person who might snag a deal on a smaller diamond, the luxury brands selling those huge fancy stones, or maybe the real winners will be the people who end up owning De Beers? The next few months are going to be absolutely fascinating to watch.